Um, would you talk more about how you view aggression, positives and negatives?
Well, like everything in life and in leadership and in your personality, it has to be balanced. Aggression has to be balanced. And one of the things from the book is, you got to be aggressive but not overbearing. So, yeah, you got to be aggressive to be a leader. You've got to be, because if you're going to make things happen, you've got to be aggressive to make things happen. You have to make things happen. I always say to people like, oh, they want to make money. I'm like, oh, you just make money. You have to take that money. It's not going to fall into your house, into your lap. It's not going to make itself. You have to take it if that's what your goal is. Mm-hmm. In jiu-jitsu, you're not going to get better just by being. You have to take the progression. You have to take it and make it happen. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with anything in life. So aggression definitely comes into play. But for instance, in a leadership position, if you're completely aggressive all the time, your subordinates will not want to communicate with you. They won't want to debate with you. They won't want to say, hey, boss, I don't agree with what you're saying here. Because they're afraid you're going to go, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. We're going to go my way or the highway. That's what they're going to expect. So you can't be overbearing. On the mat, you can't exhaust yourself with aggression. And that's one of the things, that I think from purple to brown belt, which is, your 6 to 8 years in the game, is where people start to calm down and realize that aggression needs to be tampered and controlled, and people have to relax. And in combat, obviously being aggressive and being aggressively decisive is important. But if you go too far with that, you're running to your death. So you have to modulate your aggression. You have to modulate your aggression. You can't abuse it. You got to use it, but you can't abuse it. And I don't want to discount aggression in any way, because, I always say that your default mode should be aggression. Like when you hit the reset button on your brain, you should come out of that reset being aggressive, because be aggressive, be proactive, make things happen. Be on offense, not sitting back and waiting to be attacked or waiting for a situation to occur. No, make that situation occur. Go. So that's my view of aggression. And it just has to be balanced. And there are also times where, if you meet aggression with aggression, it's actually not good. You see this in jiu-jitsu, you see this in escalating when you're either in a confrontation of some kind with somebody. Aggressively escalating something might be a good choice and it might be a bad choice. There's always the bully that as soon as you say, hey, you know what? I'd love to fight. In fact, fighting is my favorite thing to do. Let's go. A guy that's like, no, man, I was just kidding. So aggression will win there. Or, if someone's really being aggressive and you just knock them out, well, then that's a better handling of the situation. But there's also times where there's, maybe there's multiple attackers, or there's someone that's, you're in the street. It's always better in the street to avoid the confrontation. Does that person have a knife? Does that person have a gun? Does that person have a communicable disease? Does that person have friends around the corner? Is that person a lawyer who's going to sue you? I mean, there's all these reasons to get into to not get into a fight in the street. So aggressively meeting aggression with aggression is probably not that smart. It's probably better to avoid the scenario. And the more time you spend in combat sports, boxing and doing jiu-jitsu, the more likely you are to be able to be like, you know what? I don't need to prove anything to this guy. It means nothing to me. I prove myself on the mat every single day. I got nothing to prove to Joe drunk idiot over here. So I think that I think your default mode should be aggressive, but make sure that you maintain enough detachment of the situation that you can see if you're being overly aggressive and it's leading you to a bad scenario.